Heading to the phones, we have the interrogatory Bob Holt joining us on halftime, as usual, here on a Thursday morning. Interrogatory is defined as conveying the force of a question or questioning. I don't know any other reporters more interrogatory than Bob Holt. Hi, Bob. Does that work? Does that adjective work for you today?
Yeah, that's really a word I wasn't that familiar with, so that's good.
I would tell you what, if I'm introducing you, a scribe, a real professional scribe, a real word that maybe you can put in an article at some point, I'll consider my life complete. You're also my shopping buddy now. That was the moment where I realized it's like, all right, I live here now. I bumped into Bob at the grocery store, and a nice chat there next to the nut aisle, I think is where we were standing, Bob.
Yeah, it was like the nuts and the trail mix. They have good trail mix there.
All right, so what can we get to with this one here? We've got football Saturday. There's basketball tonight at Bud Walton Arena, and you know I wonder about what this will be like. I'm going to go to the game tonight. I'm going to meet Ty and head over and watch the red-white game. This, as I understand, I think this is the first sporting event indoors with fans in attendance. I don't know if volleyball's gotten things going yet, but that to me, I'm interested to watch the game and the players and the team and the chemistry and see Muss and all that. But I don't know. I have a little bit of an uneasy feeling about it. Even going to the game, I'm going to wear an N95 mask. But to me, this is the first indoor sporting event that I'm attending since the pandemic, and it does make me, a little nervous.
Yeah, I was thinking about that last night. I think it's going to be the first, quote, live, I guess, event I've covered, because I've been covering the football games remotely. Tom Murphy's been at the stadium, whether in Fayetteville or on the road, but I've actually just been at home. And I think the last live event I covered, like, on site was the Arkansas-Vanderbilt game in Nashville I think it's March 11th. So, yeah, it's weird. I hope it's a student-only event. I think they're wanting to do something. They are wanting to do something for the students. Eric Muslim was talking about that, and I hope everybody has a good time, but I hope everybody, takes it seriously, too, as far as the precautions, because this virus is spiking again, and hospitals are filling up, and, more people are getting sick. Unfortunately, more people are dying, and so, even though you want to have a fun night, you need to be serious about some things, too, I hope.
Absolutely, and I know I will. I know you will. I know the media will. I hope the students will, and maybe that's the area where I have more trepidation than anything else. As far as the team's concerned, it's like take your pick as to what's exciting with essentially 10 newcomers all getting minutes. You've got this interesting mix of an exciting incoming freshman class, one of the best that the Razorbacks have ever signed, with a group of talented veterans who transferred in to play here for 1 year, and then, a core group of veterans that have been around for a couple of years. It's just a very interesting mix of experience and age on this team right now, and I'm excited to watch and see how it mixes together.
Yeah, because like you said, you got the 3 grad transfer seniors, kind of the new one and done in college basketball. And then you've got guys who've been sitting out like J.D. Note and Connor Vanna were transferred in last year, and they redshirted and practiced and, improved, I'm sure, but we haven't seen them play for the Razorbacks. And you've got the 4 freshmen. So it's really probably unlike any team makeup Arkansas has ever had. And as much as Eric Musselman has had done well with transfers at Nevada, with the Martin twins and Jordan Caroline and then, Jimmy Witt here last year. I don't think he's ever had a makeup quite like this, but as he said, a lot of times, especially coaching in pro basketball, whether it's the NBA, but especially the minor leagues, he's used to dealing with diverse rosters, in terms of, older guys, younger guys coming and going because they're signing overseas or getting called up to NBA teams, whatever the case might be. So that's not going to happen. You don't change your college roster during the year. Guys might get hurt or whatever, but, Eric's definitely used to sort of juggling things,
Speaking to Bob Holt here with us on Halftime. Bob, a little bit more with this basketball game. I'm curious, I'm from a fan's perspective, I don't necessarily think that you can take so much from this game. I think it's more or less you get to finally see what these four freshmen can bring to the table, what we were just talking about with Vanover bringing to the table, what these transfers can do. But from your perspective, how much stock can we take from this game, this red-white game, heading into the opening week here in a couple weeks?
Well, Eric was saying yesterday, he was on a Zoom call, that to him, it's a glorified practice. You've had however many, they've been practicing since October, 14th, I think it was. Maybe it was the 15th. But so they've been practicing a little less than a month, and then they're about 2 weeks out from the first game on the 25th against Mississippi Valley State. Mm-hmm. And so this is one practice in that group of practices. On the other hand, it's the first time they're going to be, scrimmaging in front of an audience. Might not be 15,000 people, but, it's an audience. It's going to be streamed on SEC Network Plus. So it's not just, your everyday practice. But I think Eric was like, you didn't want to overreact to it. If a guy plays great, if a guy plays bad, it's just one practice. But I'm sure for the players, it's a little, maybe it's starting to get a little monotonous because and you got to remember they've been doing all these workouts going back to July too. So there's been a lot of prep time leading into the season, just like the football team had. And so I'm sure the guys are excited about, getting an audience, so to speak. But yeah, you don't want to overreact if, a player goes out and scores 28 points. That's nice, but that doesn't mean he's going to average, 25 points this year or whatever.
Let's transition over to the football field and get your thoughts on the Arkansas-Florida matchup coming this Saturday. In my mind, and we've talked about this all week, with all the emotions that this football team is having with Coach Pittman not being there, Barry Odom coming down from the press box down to the field, Felipe Franks returning to Florida. I think when you package all this together, you're going to have a very laser-focused team that's going to be playing with even more of a chip on their shoulder from what Sam Pittman has talked about, in my mind. More of a chip on their shoulder, a laser-focused team that's going to be ready to go and give Florida probably their best game of the year.
Yeah, I think the Razorbacks are going to play well. I mean, they've surprised the odds makers. I'm not a gambling person, but I think they've beat the point spread in every game, which to me that just speaks. I'm not talking about so much from the gambling aspect of it. It just speaks that they've been overachieving in others' eyes, probably not in their eyes, but they've consistently played better than people expected, and so I expect them to do. I guess I'm learned to expect the unexpected from them in Florida. I think the 17.5-point favorite. I believe it'll be a closer game than that. Felipe, Kyle Trask, he's playing incredibly well, but Felipe Franks, I don't know if Arkansas could have a quarterback playing much better than he is when you take into account he's playing behind a young, mostly young offensive line that's starting to come together. And, you had some injuries where you had guys like Boyd and Burks out, for a game or 2 games or whatever in certain instances. And I think Franks he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country. And the defense has been opportunistic. And, Florida's coming off a big win at Georgia. We'll see how they react to that. Do they have a little bit of a letdown, or are they, more pumped up than ever? And then you mentioned there's a lot of really interesting subplots, and really this has become, the big SEC game of the week with a lot of the other ones canceled. I think it's one of the more intriguing games in the country this week.
And you reference all the postponements. Greg Sankey yesterday on the teleconference, and the commissioner doesn't usually speak on the teleconference, but I think he felt he had to, with more teams sidelined than on the field this weekend. He said he's shaken by this. And with basketball season starting, it being an indoor sport, with the virus surging, with the surge obviously affecting college sports in a way now. It's not just here in the SEC. It's a number of other leagues too, Big Ten included, Ohio State. Should we be worried as to, what the near future could be like for college sports? We saw everything get canceled all at once in March. I'm not saying that that's what you expect to happen now, but I feel like Arkansas has been lucky that none of their games have been affected by COVID until Sam Pittman came down with it. And when you see what's going on right now, you got to figure sooner or later they may be affected by it at some point.
Well, they could get a game moved around, Missouri. I'm trying to remember all the dominoes, but Missouri was supposed to play Vanderbilt, and Vanderbilt had an outbreak, so that game got postponed. And then Missouri ended up playing. They're supposed to play somebody else, and then that game got postponed. They ended up playing Kentucky a week earlier, so they moved the week that Missouri was supposed to play Kentucky to a different week so that they could play whoever it was. I'm kind of confused now, but there's been some talk of the Arkansas LSU game getting moved to like December 19th, which is the day of the championship game. One thing I think the school presidents have okayed December 19th as being a day that obviously they wanted that to be the showcase for the SEC championship game, and that still would be your big game that day, obviously. But there could be other games that day too, which ideally they wouldn't do. But if that's what they have to do to complete seasons, that's what they do, I'm sure. So we'll see what happens. Ed Orgeron, said yesterday that he anticipated. I'm kind of paraphrasing here. I mean, he couldn't guarantee that LSU would have enough guys to play Arkansas, but he said he thought they'd be getting their players back, Tuesday or Wednesday, and he expected them to be able to play here next week as scheduled, but we'll see how that goes because LSU's had a couple games postponed already. That's what's kind of messing things up because you had teams like I think LSU and Florida were scheduled to play again on December 12th. Well, so that means LSU can't play Alabama that day. And so, we'll see how they might move other games around the chessboard. But this is why they pushed the season back. This is why they had some built-in open days, and this is why they played a conference-only schedule because if you had all these, like if Georgia was supposed to be playing Georgia Tech and Florida was supposed to be playing Florida State, you can imagine the chaos because, Florida might say, well, we can play Florida State on this date now. Florida State might say, well, no, we don't agree to that. Then you've got contracts signed and you've got, a lot of legal, potential legal situations or, Florida State suing or Florida suing Florida State or whatever. I'm just throwing that out there. But I'm saying that's why you had that's why Big Ten, SEC, all these other conferences went to conference-only schedules because they knew they might have to move games around. That's much easier to do within a conference where everybody can agree than if you're playing, out-of-conference games.
And looking at Arkansas's game against Alabama, potentially that one could get moved because I have a feeling Alabama might face LSU that weekend, and then you move Arkansas-Alabama to the open week, December the 12th. But we'll see how it goes.
Right. A lot of people putting out Twitter, and that prompted Greg Sankey to say these are in his opening remarks is that he's seen a lot of suggestions on Twitter and he doesn't run the league by Twitter or something like that.
Oh, come on, the entire world runs on Twitter.
You mean Twitter doesn't know all the right and wrong answers? Is that what we're finally figuring out here?
No, it's what makes all the great decisions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He basically doesn't make decisions based on Twitter suggestions. Is what he
Yeah, go figure. Bob, it's good to talk to you as always, man. I'll either see you at the grocery store or I'll see you tonight at Bud Walton Arena. One or the other, maybe both.
Okay, you guys take care.
I'll be looking for that Green Bay Packers mask in the press area today.